Hey everyone, and welcome to the $1 million portfolio journey. It is Wednesday, 4th of May 2025. It's around 4 o'clock here in London, and I'm going to be investing some more money today. So basically, what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be investing another £200 into my SIP, and I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be purchasing MicroStrategy again. I'm also going to be looking at my portfolio, giving you an update, and also what my plans are for the portfolio going forward and how far along I am with regards to my strategy and how far away from £1 million. So before I get into that, for all my new viewers, and I am getting a lot of new viewers now, the purpose of this channel, the purpose of this portfolio is to get to £1 million as soon as possible. I'm trying to get there within 2 to 3 years, and basically that's the main goal, getting to $1 million. And I have four very basic rules. So the first rule is investing for the long term. So even though I want to hit a million as soon as possible, my investment outlook is between 5 and 10 years. So I'm not gonna, anything that I buy now, I'm not gonna sell it for the next 5 years. So rule number two is I'm a very aggressive investor. So I try to invest anything between 200 to 500 pounds every day, and whenever the market is open, I'm gonna try and increase that hopefully to £1,000 a day as soon as my income starts to increase. And then rule number three is I'm a very volatile investor. So as you can see, I invest in stocks like Tesla, MicroStrategy, and Nvidia. Today Tesla is down around 5%. So it has a wild fluctuation. The portfolio fluctuates wildly, but I'm not too concerned about the fluctuations. I'm more concerned about building my portfolio to a certain level and having a certain number of shares. And finally, rule number four is I'm a very tax efficient investor. So I always max out my ISA, I always max out my SIP, and then I do it for my family as well. And then anything that's left over, then what I do is I invest it in my general investment account. So those are the four simple rules. And my focus when it comes to investment is investing in Bitcoin treasury companies, because I think Bitcoin is going to play a big part in the future, and also very disruptive technologies like autonomy, robotics, and also chip makers like Nvidia GPUs, because artificial intelligence is this is just the start of artificial intelligence, and it's just going to keep on growing and growing, and Nvidia is going to become the next Intel. So these are the companies that I believe in. I've done a deep dive into these companies, and for me they seem a no-brainer. So let's get into the portfolio and see how things are going at the moment. So my general investment account is just over 47k. So at its peak it was near 53k, so it is fluctuating a little bit, but again, not too concerned. Stocks and shares ISA just under 26k. So at its peak it was around about 28k. And then we've got the self-invested personal pension plan. So again, during its peak it was around 48k. It's currently sitting around 43.5k. So everything's going down, and the reason for that is Tesla is having a bad day today. So it's down around 3.5%. Today it fell to around, I would say, 4.5%, but it is recovering now. So I think there were some reports out that sales are plummeting in Europe and China. But again, this is just a minor blip. If sales do fall, they're falling for all car makers, and hopefully this is going to be temporary. Once the rollout for robo taxis and everything starts to happen, we're going to see significant growth in these companies. So I don't know why people are selling at the moment, because robo taxis are just around the corner, but who knows. So I'm not too concerned about this. The fundamentals are still the same. You know, there's nothing that concerns me at the moment. Sales go up, sales go down. You know, as long as you got a plan and you stick to it, that's the main thing. So this is not really concerning. But I'm not going to be buying any Tesla now because I want to get my MicroStrategy bag up and running. So currently I have about 80 shares in MicroStrategy. I want to increase that. My first target is to increase that to 100 shares. And then once I've done that, I'm going to increase my Nvidia bag to 100 shares. And then I'm going to go back to my Tesla bag where I have 450 shares. And I'm going to try and increase that to 500 shares. Then go back to Nvidia and MicroStrategy and get that up to 200 again. So let's have a look at how MicroStrategy is doing today. So today, MicroStrategy is down about 1%. It was down around 3% after the markets open. So again, not too concerned about this. Nothing, you know, the fundamentals are great for this company. You know, they're introducing many more structured products like Stride. So they've got Strike, Strife, and Stride now, where they can raise money from the equity markets. And I think, you know, they're doing a really good job of raising money and then buying Bitcoin. They're going to turn into one of the biggest Bitcoin treasuries in the world. And, you know, once Bitcoin starts to move up, you know, this company will see phenomenal growth. So I'm a big believer in MicroStrategy, and I'm trying to, you know, increase and get as much you know, shares as possible in this company. So that's MicroStrategy 384.19. And then if we go into Nvidia is nearly hitting its highs again. So it's currently trading at $141. I think way back it was, let's have a look. At its peak, it was around $150. So it is returning to its peak. Jensen Huang's doing a very good job, and I just think this is the start of the AI journey. And Nvidia, there's going to be so much demand for Nvidia chips. I know companies like AMD and Broadcom, they're like producing really good chips as well, but Nvidia has the edge. And you know, as soon, you know, the more AI grows, the more, you know, the demand there is for AI applications, the more the demand for these chips will go up. So I think this is just the start, and that's why I'm, you know, trying to invest into Nvidia. So at the moment I have 34 shares, so I'm going to try and increase my bag to 100 shares once I hit 100 shares in MicroStrategy, and then I'm just going to keep on repeating the process. So that's Nvidia. So let me go into my SIPP now, and let me go into MicroStrategy, and I'm going to be buying another £200 worth of MicroStrategy. So that's going to give me 0.7029. So 7029, 0.7029 shares in MicroStrategy. So I'm just going to confirm the buy. So that's it. So what have I got? 0.7025. So 7025. So that's my investment done for today. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be updating my spreadsheet to see the progress that I'm making. So plus 0.7025. Oops. So that's done. So let's have a look at the most important metric in my opinion, because obviously I'm a very long-term investor. I'm not looking at price. The only reason I look at price every day is so I get immune to the price movements, if that makes sense. So if there is a big drop or a big increase, it shouldn't really concern me, because my main concern should be how many shares that I have, not what it's trading at the moment, because I've got my price target. My price target for Tesla in 5 years time is around 3,000. For MicroStrategy, it's around 3,600, and for Nvidia, it is around 600. So again, I'm not too concerned about these prices, because when you get too concerned about short-term prices, you kind of, you know, miss the long-term opportunity, if that makes sense. So excuse me. So for Tesla, I have just over 450 shares now. For MicroStrategy, a bit of an increase, so 81.48 shares. So I'm about 18.5 shares away from hitting 100. Nvidia, I have 34, just over 34 shares. And let's have a look at the targets for now. So for Tesla, my target is 500 shares. For MicroStrategy, my target is 200, and for Nvidia is 200. If we look at it in terms of percentages, my target for Tesla is 90%. My target for so I'm 90% of my way there for Tesla, 41% of my way there for MicroStrategy, and 17% of my way there for Nvidia. So if I blend this all together, I'm about, I would say, 65 to 65% of the way there. So another 35% to go. So just I'm getting there steadily. It's not going to happen overnight, but I'm going to try and get there as soon as possible. Once I hit these targets, then attaining, just going to 1 million is just going to be much more simpler. And when I get to the targets, I'm not going to be stopping. I'm going to add more. And what I intend to do is, once I have like about 500 shares in Tesla, 200 shares in Nvidia, and 200 shares in MicroStrategy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be rotating between the shares. So sometimes MicroStrategy will be completely overvalued compared to Tesla and Nvidia, and what I can do is rotate between these shares. And because buying and selling will not incur any capital gains tax within the ISA or the SIPP, it just gives me a free reign to just keep on rotating between one and another, depending on how oversold or how overbought the companies are. So if Tesla goes up by 200% in a short period of time, that it's going to revert back to its mean. And this is the best time to sell and then go into something that's undervalued. So for example, if MicroStrategy is undervalued and it is very undersold, then eventually it's going to go back to its mean. So again, I'm going to keep on doing that and see if I can increase my bag that way as well. So that's a long-term goal, but my goal at the moment is trying to accumulate as many units as I possibly can. So let's go back to the bag now, which is the portfolio. So general investment account just under 47.5, stocks and shares ISA just under 29, and self-invested personal pension just over 43.5k. So if I look at the valuation today, it's probably around 185 to $180,000. So I'm about, I would say, 5.6x away, 5.7x away from 1 million. So it does seem quite a far way away, but I'm making progress every day, and I'm just going to keep on sticking to the plan, and I'm going to try and get there as soon as I can. And when I start to invest more money, I'm going to try and increase my investment to £500 per day. Once I start doing that, I should see some more progress, and once I can increase that to 1,000 a day, I'll hopefully be able to see more progress. So that's the plan at the moment. And I hope you find these videos useful. I hope you find it entertaining. But if you want to do something like this, this is not like something that's unachievable. If you want to invest every day, if you want to invest in like concentrated companies, if you have done a deep dive on these companies or any other companies and you have a high conviction, there's nothing stopping you from purchasing these companies in a very, very tax efficient way. And a lot of people say just invest once a month and that's it, just leave it and forget it, which is fine. But if you want to invest more, if you want to invest every day, if you want to really take charge of your finances, you can do that. There's no shame in that. The same way there's no shame in just like putting £100 a month into a SIPP or an ISA and just leaving it in a index fund. So whatever suits you. For me, what I prefer is to, get in to the investment, find out more about the companies that I'm investing in. I'd rather, choose 2 or 3 companies that I really understand, rather than diversifying into like 100 companies or 500 companies like the S&P 500. So for me, I prefer doing that. So yeah, whatever floats your boat, you should do it. So if you found this video useful, entertaining, or you found it inspiring, feel free to, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, share, subscribe to the channel. I have just over 1,000. I'm trying to get to 2,000. So if you can subscribe to the channel, it's like it would mean a great deal to me, because I'm trying to get to that 2,000 level as soon as possible. Hopefully I'm trying to get there by the end of the year. So yeah, so hopefully you found it entertaining and useful, and I'll be bringing you another video tomorrow where I invest another, hopefully, £200 into the stock market, and then I'll provide another portfolio update and see how the markets are doing as well. So leave a comment below. If you want to ask me anything, feel free to do so, and I will answer to the best of my ability. So have a great day, and I will catch you tomorrow.